On Capitol Hill, UN Ambassador Susan Rice heads to the Hill this morning to try to mend fences with 3 Republican senators who are upset over comments she made in the immediate aftermath of the deadly attack in Benghazi.
In the past, Senators McCain and Graham have said they wouldn't support her if she's nominated for Secretary of State.
This is about the role she played around 4 dead Americans when it seems to be that the story coming out of the administration, and she's the point person, is so disconnected to reality. I don't trust her. And the reason I don't trust her is because I think she knew better, and if she didn't know better, she shouldn't be the voice of America. Somebody has got to start paying a price around this place.
Let's see what happens here, but we will do whatever's necessary to block the nomination that's within our power as far as Susan Rice is concerned.
Those are 2 angry senators. Senior congressional correspondent Dana Bash is with us right now. I mean, she's got a lot of persuading to do. And you hear, even in Lindsey Graham's, the words he uses, he's not talking about the confusing message surrounding the deaths of those Americans. He's talking about her role, which is pretty strong. That's strong wording.
Oh, absolutely. Look, this is going to be an early test of Susan Rice's diplomatic skills, this meeting today, because these 3 senators, you're right, have been very critical. And they're specifically threatening to block her nomination if President Obama does nominate her as Secretary of State. I can tell you that CNN's Eric Fiegel just caught up with Senator McCain moments ago about his meeting, and here's what he said.
Whatever Ambassador Rice wants to tell me. She's the one that asked for the meeting. I didn't.
Do you trust her to be Secretary of State?
This issue needs to be resolved clearly. It needs to be resolved before. I don't make a judgment as to whether she should be Secretary of State or not until she's been nominated.
Now, you can hear, John and Christine, McCain's tone has really moderated when it comes to Rice. The soundbites she played were from a couple of weeks ago, and now he's saying he's willing to listen to her explanation for what angers him and those other senators the most, that she went out on those 5 Sunday shows right after the Benghazi attack in September and did not mention al-Qaeda as a possible cause of the attack. And that really has what has been the crux of this, and that we understand are the questions that these senators have. Why she did not mention al-Qaeda, not just that, because we understand now that she didn't mention it because she was told that that was classified and she was given unclassified talking points, and that's what she read from. But the bigger question that they have, we're told, is why she went further and said that the Obama administration has decimated al-Qaeda, and whether or not she said that knowing the classified information, which suggested that al-Qaeda might have been behind, or at least an affiliate of al-Qaeda might have been behind this attack in Benghazi.
All right, Dana Bash, certainly is going to be interesting.
This is ridiculous. No, you have to say this ridiculous because, first of all, she wasn't Secretary of State. It's interesting how you have critics who don't want to mention Secretary of State Clinton, who didn't want to mention Petraeus when it came to the CIA, and so they want to zero in on somebody who, frankly, was sent out on television who was not even over the ambassador.
But can I ask this? What really interests me today is that this meeting is even happening. Are we seeing here basically the end game on this? Will this resolve these issues? And do we think that basically we're going to expect to see her nomination as Secretary of State in the next few days?
Seems to be heading in that direction. Look, there's a larger context here. The Republicans just went through an election where they lost 80% of the combined vote of a rapidly diversifying country, the non-white population. Do you want, as a party, the first thing after that to be 2 older white senators filibustering the second African-American woman as Secretary of State? Is that really what they want to do after that election? I think there's kind of a limit to how far you can push this.
The president also wants to make it perfectly clear to Republicans coming out of the gate in the second term, I'm the president. I'm putting forth who I want. And so if I'm the White House, frankly, I want this fight. If you want to fight with me on this here, on my appointment for Secretary of State, fine, you bring it.
But it seems to me she'll be somewhat conciliatory when she goes up to the Hill today.
2 quick points. The focus has always been too tightly focused on Susan Rice. Republicans made a mistake in focusing on her when there's a larger issue about what happened in Benghazi, and the fact that the talking points were changed only reflects that, only illustrates that there's a larger problem than Susan Rice. Second, you talked about Lindsey Graham's words. I'm interested in it. We'd have to ask Dana again, but will they talk about her role? She should have known. Not what she said, but that she should have known. She had access to intelligence. Should she have known more and said something different?
You know, 4 Americans are dead. In the end, 4 Americans are dead, and there should be numerous investigations. I mean, we haven't had an American ambassador assassinated since the 1970s. I mean, that happened is horrific. But so much of the conversation has been about politics, not about
it's
security.
because they are thinking forward. This is all about Can you stop the president, one of his major nominations, out of the gate? That's what this is about. And that's why they're attacking
Will
him.
has it right. The questions are right. The mistake is personalizing it on the individual.
Yeah. All right. Other stories are following this.